Hello there. Welcome to my views and news. Viewers, uh, in the last few days, an Ethiopian politician claimed that Ethiopian government is going to wage war on Eritrea. And for the last 1 year or so, we have been seeing reports from three different regions of Ethiopia. The groups in these three regions have been claiming that Ethiopian government of PM Abiy is going to wage war on Eritrea. I did a video, if you remember, a few weeks ago, and in that video, I concluded that war is not imminent. It's not that tomorrow or next week Ethiopia Eritrea war will break out. But I think we need to analyze the reports. Why are some people uh, making these claims of imminent war? And is there any possibility of a war in near future? What are the two governments doing? Are they on a collision course, or what is happening is just routine business and there won't be any major escalation between the two countries? Firstly, as I said earlier, three different groups in the last 1 year claimed that PMR is going to wage war on Eritrea. Fano fighters, pro-Fano elements, they have been claiming since the end of 2023 that PMRB's government will wage war on Eritrea. Why have they been saying this? Because they want the war to happen. If war erupts between Ethiopia and Eritrea, obviously Ethiopian military will have to divert its attention towards Eritrea. Military operation in Fano will have to come to an end, and Fano will be in a position to make an alliance with Eritrea to remove Abiy. So a war between Eritrea and Ethiopia suits Fano fighters. Then last year, groups in Tigray claimed the same. Debrecen-led TPLF wing claim that Sadkan and Getachew are conspiring with PMRB to wage war on Eritrea. And Sadkan then, in some interviews, rejected the rumors, and he said that Ethiopia wants peaceful coexistence, and they're not planning to wage war on Eritrea. And now Jawar is busy building a narrative. In some recent interviews in the last few days, he claimed that Abiy is going to wage war on Eritrea. Now, Jawar, as I said earlier, wants to be seen as an alternative to Abiy. He wants to paint Abiy as a failure. He wants to get support from Eritrea, from others, from inside as well, from TPLF too. He is trying to make the people of Tigray insecure. He's saying that your region could once again be center of a war. You already suffered. Again, you will suffer because Abiy will wage war on Eritrea. Abiy is deliberately creating divisions in your region. That is why, what should you do? You should remove Abiy. You should support me. This is what he wants. And he's telling Eritrea as well that I am in support of engagement with you. I am not in support of escalation or war. And in an interview 2 days ago, he said that Ethiopia-Eritrea relations are different from Ethiopia-Sudan, Ethiopia-Somalia relations, because the two remained one in the past. Their economies, their societies are connected. Basically, message is for Eritrean government and for Tigray, people of Tigray. He wants support from Tigray to remove Abiy, and he wants support from Eritrea. Now, what is happening on the ground? The two governments are not in talks. They are not in contacts, you could say, though embassies operating in other countries, each other's countries. But Ethiopian Airlines was suspended from operations, connecting operations in Asmara. Ethiopia is definitely backing Eritrean opposition groups, Tagi, Sado, Brigade Nehamido, Eritrean Afar National Congress, etc. They are being organized on Ethiopian soil. Eritrea is being used as transit by Fano fighters who want to join Fano. They go to Eritrea and from there they join Fano. Fano fighters were trained in Eritrea in the past, and Eritrea is not in the mood to form any strategic alliance with Ethiopian PM Abiy. PM Abiy is now unreliable for Eritrea. Eritrea is the center of formation of an anti-Ethiopia regional alliance. Isaias Afwerki is at the forefront of forming an alliance with Egypt and Somalia to corner Ethiopia. So tensions are very visible. Having said all this, what about military preparations? Eritrea is not making any preparation to wage war on Eritrea, to wage war on Ethiopia. Same is the case with Ethiopia too. Ethiopian military is already overstretched. It is fighting on so many fronts. Amhara region has huge deployment of the Ethiopian National Defense Force. Oromia has deployment as well. Tigray border still not fully peaceful. Somalia-Ethiopia border remain tense in recent months. So ENDF is already overstretched inside Ethiopia and at the borders of Ethiopia with neighboring countries. Eritrea is not making any preparations to wage war. What about, so in the short term, there is no threat of war. You cannot say that tomorrow, next week, next month, war will break out. Firstly, it should be clear. Secondly, what about future? Uh, we don't know about future. We can only make prediction or make an analysis based on current situation. The current situation is that the two countries are on a collision course. And we cannot blame just Ethiopia for that. I mean, people say Ethiopian opposition says that Ethiopia is going to wage war on Eritrea. No, I think it takes two to tango. The tension, the bilateral friction in relation cannot be attributed to Ethiopia only. Both are responsible and they are on a collision course. The statements which we heard in Cairo are alarming. I did a video on that yesterday. Egyptian foreign minister in Cairo with his Eritrean and Somalia's counterpart standing alongside him said that non-littoral countries won't be allowed to gain military or naval access to sea. What he said was definitely endorsed by Eritrea and Somalia because the trio held discussions. Eritrea and Egypt are openly opposing Ethiopian case for access to sea. Ethiopian government says this case is case of survival for Ethiopia. The way Ethiopian economy is expanding, the way Ethiopian population is expanding, Ethiopia needs sustainable access to sea. Access to sea, which Ethiopia has through Djibouti, is not sustainable. Djibouti blackmails Ethiopia, and Ethiopian economy is suffering. It means that Ethiopia will definitely push for sea access through some lease agreement, through some other type of agreement, like the one it tried to sign with Somaliland. It could sign with Somalia or other countries. If Eritrea opposes, if Egypt opposes Ethiopian case for access to sea, which seems to be the case, it means that bilateral tensions will further rise. And as a last resort, we could see Ethiopia considering use of force. It can happen. Again, I'm saying it won't happen in coming days, weeks, or months. A lot will happen this year. We'll see what uh, happens at Ethiopia Somalia talks, technical level talks. Somalia in a difficult position. It is being pressurized by Eritrea and Egypt that it should not give military access, naval access to Ethiopia. Somalia wants to create a balance in its relations between Ethiopia on one hand and Egypt, Eritrea on the other hand. If somehow Ethiopia and Somalia reach a beneficial, mutually beneficial agreement, you'll see de-escalation in Ethiopia-Eritrea relations. Yes, Somalia-Eritrea relations might take a dent, but you'll see de-escalation between Ethiopia and Eritrea. If Ethiopia-Somalia talks collapse, Somalia refuses to give the type of sea access to Ethiopia which Ethiopia wants, then you could see real regional tensions. Egypt already involved, it's sending its military, its forces to Somalia. As a last resort, we could see consideration of force by Ethiopia, which will be last resort, I believe, especially if PM Abiy stays in power. We know that almost within a year or after a year, election will be held in Ethiopia. People like Jawar are trying to remove the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, PM Abiy. They want a new Prime Minister to lead the country. If new Prime Minister takes office, then after dynamics will change, everything will change, and you see start of new era of bilateral relation with Ethiopia. And Eritrea. If Abiy secures another term, Somalia, Ethiopia talks collapse, then you will see a real tension between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Why? Because if Somalia, Ethiopia talks fail, who will be blamed? Two countries, obviously. Ethiopia will blame two countries at least, and that Egypt and Eritrea. Why is Eritrea opposing Ethiopian case for access to sea? Maybe it fears that tomorrow Ethiopia could make a claim to Assam. If it happens, Eritrea would need allies. That is why today Eritrea should stand with Somalia, should stand with Egypt, and tomorrow they'll stand with Eritrea. But on the other hand, if Eritrea blocks all ways of access to sea for Ethiopia through Somaliland, through Somalia, through Djibouti, what will be Ethiopia left with? Assam. Then it will definitely make a move to gain access to sea through Assam, and that will be start of real escalation between the two countries. So my conclusion is that Ethiopia-Eritrea war is not imminent, firstly. Secondly, the two countries are on a collision course. Developments of the last few months are indicative of gradual rising of bilateral tensions. Thirdly, outcome of Ethiopia-Somalia talks, outcome of Ethiopian election will determine the future course of Ethiopia-Eritrea relations. War cannot be ruled out in the long run. We're not talking about possibility of an imminent war. I already ruled it out. So this is how I see the bilateral relations and the current situation. Do give your feedback in comment section. Thank you for watching.